They told you motivation was everything, but if you just stayed inspired, stayed pumped, stayed fired up, you could conquer the world. They sold you the hype videos, the morning routines, the flashy reels with quotes and bass drops. But let me ask you something real. Where was that motivation when your alarm rang at 4:30 a.m. and your bed felt like the warmest place on earth? Where was it when nobody was watching, when the applause had faded, when the lights were off and your mind was tired? You see, motivation is a liar. It shows up when things are easy, when you're excited about new goals, when you're fresh, when you're comfortable. But the moment discomfort kicks in, the moment it gets cold, hard, and ugly, motivation disappears like smoke in the wind. That's the trap most people fall into. They wait to feel like it. They wait for the right mood, the perfect moment, the inspirational YouTube video to give them a kick. But life doesn't reward the inspired, it rewards the disciplined. Because here's the cold truth. You won't always feel like grinding. You won't always feel like waking up early, eating clean, training hard, studying late, or building your dream when the world is sleeping. There will be days when your body aches, your mind rebels, and your heart is exhausted. And if you depend on motivation to carry you through those moments, you're already setting yourself up to fail. The truth is, greatness isn't built on passion alone. It's built on repetition, on sacrifice, on doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. That's what discipline is. Showing up on the days you'd rather quit, pushing through when every part of you wants to give in, and that's what separates the winners from the wishers. The ones who act despite how they feel. Don't think about the athletes who train in the rain, the entrepreneurs who work through setbacks, the students who study through fatigue. Do you think they're always motivated? Of course not. They're human, just like you. The difference: they don't wait to be motivated. They're trained to execute regardless. Discipline is what drags you out of bed before sunrise. Discipline is what makes you choose growth over comfort. Discipline is what keeps you going after failure, after pain, after doubt. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it's the most powerful force you can build within yourself. We live in a world addicted to short bursts of energy, a world that chases sparks but fears the fire. Motivation is that spark. But discipline is the slow-burning fire that doesn't go out. It's the thing that keeps burning through the storms, through the late nights, through the heartbreaks and the setbacks. Discipline is the reason some people keep rising while others keep quitting. You don't need to feel good to do good. You don't need motivation to take the next step. You need clarity. You need commitment. And above all, you need the courage to be consistent when no one claps for you. So the next time you're tempted to skip the workout, delay the grind, break the habit, or take the easy road, stop looking for motivation. It's not coming. But discipline, that's already inside you, waiting, quiet, relentless. All you have to do is choose it, again, and again, and again, because that's how real progress is made, one unmotivated decision at a time. Welcome to the truth, welcome to the grind. This is where legends are forged, not in the fire of excitement, but in the furnace of discipline. Discipline is not loud, it doesn't shout, it doesn't brag, it doesn't post every achievement on social media looking for likes. Discipline is silent. It's invisible. It works behind the curtain while the world is still sleeping. Real discipline looks like the alarm going off at 5 a.m. and you getting up, not because you're excited, but because you said you would. It looks like saying no to the party so you can say yes to your progress. It looks like going to the gym when your muscles ache, writing one more page when your eyes are closing, showing up to the practice when no one's watching because you promised yourself that you would. That's what real discipline looks like. It's not glamorous. It's not entertaining. But it's undefeated. People love to talk about their dreams. They love to fantasize about success, wealth, freedom, but they rarely show the discipline it takes to earn it. Real discipline doesn't look like shouting, "I'm grinding." It looks like sitting quietly in a room, laser-focused on your task while others scroll, binge, party, and waste time. It's not about how many motivational quotes you can repost. It's about how many times you can do the hard thing, the boring thing, the necessary thing, even when no one's looking. Especially when no one's looking. Discipline is the real flex. And you know what? Most people can't handle it, because it's not instant. It doesn't pay off right away. It doesn't give you dopamine like scrolling or snacking or sleeping in. It gives you growth, it gives you power. But only if you stick with it when it's hard. Discipline looks like consistency. Day after day. Week after week. It's getting better 1% at a time until you look back and don't even recognize who you used to be. It's not about having the perfect routine, it's about not breaking when your routine gets disrupted. It's adapting, adjusting. Still, Executing real discipline is building your life around your goals, not your comfort. It's turning pain into fuel. It's understanding that tired is not a reason, it's just a signal. You're allowed to be tired, you're allowed to be frustrated, but you are not allowed to quit, because the mission doesn't care about your mood, the dream doesn't care how you feel, and the clock never stops ticking. Discipline also looks like self-respect, the kind of respect that says, I don't break my own word. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. Not for applause, not for likes, but because you're building a reputation with yourself as the most important relationship you'll ever have. The way you keep your word to yourself or break it defines everything. You either become someone you trust, or someone who lies to themselves every day. And if you want real self-confidence, it doesn't come from affirmations or fake positivity, it comes from discipline, from knowing that you're not relying on willpower, you're relying on identity. You're not trying, you are the kind of person who doesn't quit. And yes, discipline looks like failure too, because sometimes you will fall, you will miss a day, you will mess up, but real discipline isn't perfection, it's resilience. It's getting back on track faster every time. It's forgiving yourself without letting yourself off the hook. It's saying, I may fall, but I do not stay down. Real discipline doesn't mean you never break, it means you never stay broken. You bounce back, you reload, you return, stronger because you understand, this isn't about one big win, it's about 1,000 small choices, made daily, in silence. When no one is cheering you on, except the future version of you, waiting on the other side of your grind. So, what does real discipline look like? It looks like you, waking up, showing up, leveling up, even when you don't want to, especially then. That's the difference between those who dream, and those who do. The world doesn't need more inspiration, it needs more people willing to get uncomfortable, stay consistent, and rise with discipline. And you're already on your way. Most people don't fail because they aren't talented. They don't fail because they're not smart enough, strong enough, or gifted enough. They fail for one simple reason. They can't stay consistent when it stops being exciting. That's it. That's the core of it. The dream was loud. The vision was big. The hype was real. But when the grind got quiet, when the road stretched out long and lonely, they bailed. They disappeared back into comfort, back into distractions, back into being average. Why? Because they were chasing a feeling, not a future. They wanted motivation to carry them, but didn't build the discipline to sustain them. That's why most people never finish what they start. They think it's supposed to feel good. They think the work is supposed to be fun. That success is a highlight reel of dopamine and progress and admiration. But real growth, real transformation, it's brutal, it's boring, it's repetitive, it's lonely. And most people don't have the mental stamina to endure that. They get discouraged when results don't show up instantly. They quit when they're not clapped for. They switch goals every time it gets uncomfortable. But you know what they never understand? The people they admire, the millionaires, the athletes, the icons, they all suffered through the same resistance. They just didn't quit. That's the real reason most people fail. They're too soft on themselves, too addicted to comfort, too reliant on hype. Most people also fail because they make excuses sound logical. I'm too tired. I'll start next week. Life got in the way. I'm not in the right headspace. These phrases sound reasonable. They sound valid. But they're killers, slow, silent killers of potential. Every time you excuse your way out of discipline, you're casting a vote for your own limitations. You're saying, comfort matters more than my dreams. That mindset builds a habit, and that habit becomes a lifestyle. A lifestyle of nearlys and not quites, a life of I could have, and I should have, and if only I had. That is the slow death most people die. Not by failure, but by quitting early. And here's the twist. Failure doesn't come all at once. It's not a dramatic collapse. It's subtle. It sneaks in through skipped reps, delayed decisions, missed commitments. It comes in the form of scrolling instead of studying, sleeping instead of showing up, talking instead of building. You don't even notice it at first. One compromise leads to another, and before you know it, the momentum is gone, the fire is out, and the life you said you wanted, it's now just a memory of a dream that never made it past the planning stage. Most people fail because they don't have a why strong enough to endure the hard days. Their goals are built on sand, shallow, surface level. Once that crumble the moment resistance shows up. They want ABS, but not the sacrifice. They want millions, but not the discipline. They want success, but not the silence it requires. Your why has to be deeper than applause. It has to be anchored in purpose. Because when the storms come, and they will come, it's that why that will keep you standing when most people fall. And perhaps the most painful reason people fail. They're afraid to look bad, afraid to start small, afraid to be seen trying, so they delay, they wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence. But here's the truth, that moment never comes. Perfection is procrastination in disguise. The winners are the ones who take messy action, who embrace the discomfort, who allow themselves to be beginners and build from there. Everyone wants to win, but no one wants to look like a loser first. And that fear, that ego, is why most people never even start. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be reading this. You wouldn't be searching for something deeper than hype. You want the truth. And here it is. Most people fail because they build their lives around feelings. But the successful, they build their lives around discipline, around doing what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. And that's the path you're on now. You've seen the trap. You've seen the excuses. And you're ready to break the pattern. From this point forward, you don't just try, you train. You don't just start, you endure. Let the others fall, let the others quit. You finish. You don't stumble into discipline, you build it piece by piece, brick by brick, choice by choice. Unshakable discipline isn't something you're born with. It's not some mysterious force gifted only to the elite. It's a skill, forged in the fires of discomfort, sharpened by repetition, and locked in through ruthless self-respect. You build it by doing the hard things, especially when you don't want to. You build it by deciding, once and for all, that you're done negotiating with weakness. Discipline starts as a whisper, a quiet voice that says, do it anyway. But over time, it becomes a roar, a command, a code you live by. And when you obey it long enough, it becomes who you are. The first step to building unshakable discipline is this. Eliminate emotion-based decisions. Your feelings are liars. Your mood will betray you. One day you'll feel motivated, the next you'll feel drained. If your actions follow your feelings, your results will follow inconsistency. But if your actions follow your standards, your rules, your non-negotiables, then it doesn't matter how you feel. You show up anyway. Train your mind to operate on commitment, not convenience. Don't ask, do I feel like it? Ask, did I promise myself this? If the answer is yes, you execute. Period. That's how warriors think. That's how warriors are built. The second step, master the small wins. Discipline isn't about massive, overnight changes. It's about micro-victories stacked over time. Wake up early, make your bed, stick to your plan, drink water instead of soda. Say no to distractions once, then again, and again. Every small win rewires your brain to believe, I do hard things, I follow through. And once that belief sets in, you start moving differently. You start thinking like a machine, like someone who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't flinch at resistance. Big changes come from boring habits, and if you can dominate the boring stuff, nothing can stop you when the stakes are high. Next, build structure that removes choice. High performers don't rely on willpower, they rely on systems. Create routines that remove decision-making. If your workout is scheduled, don't think about it. Go. If your work block is set, shut the door and lock in. Design your environment. For execution, put the junk food out of reach. Block distracting apps. Lay out your clothes the night before. Make your life so disciplined that laziness has nowhere to hide. Discipline thrives in simplicity. If your environment is chaotic, your willpower will crumble, so set yourself up to win every single day. And perhaps the most important part, forgive fast, but never forget the mission. You will slip, you will miss days, but don't let one mistake become your identity. Don't let a bad day spiral into a bad week. The disciplined don't quit when they fail, they reset faster. They learn, adjust, and get back in the ring immediately. Because discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about remembering why you started and refusing to stop until you finish. Every time you bounce back stronger, your discipline levels up. Every time you overcome the urge to quit, your mental toughness compounds. That's how unshakable discipline is built in the comeback, not just the consistency. And finally, surround yourself with pressure, not comfort. Most people build soft environments filled with enablers, excuses, and escape routes. Don't be most people. Put yourself in rooms where your excuses sound ridiculous. Be around people who challenge your laziness, not cheer it on. Choose mentors, voices, and habits that sharpen your edge, not dull it. The more pressure you choose, the more pressure you can handle. And when discipline becomes your default, pressure becomes fuel. You don't break under weight, you grow under it. This is how you build the unshakable. Not with talk, not with hype, but with ruthless consistency, with decisions that serve your future, not your feelings, with habits that harden your will and sharpen your edge. And if you stick with it long enough, you'll realize you don't need motivation anymore, because you've built something stronger, something permanent, something unshakable, and that is what separates the disciplined from the defeated. The odds were never in your favor. Let's be honest. You weren't handed the perfect setup. You didn't have every advantage. You didn't grow up with a blueprint. You weren't born into privilege, into legacy, into certainty. You started. Behind you started, overlooked. You started with doubt all around you, sometimes even inside you. But here's the truth no one can take away. When you outwork the odds, you make the impossible your reality. And the people who win, the ones who rise, they're not the ones who were chosen, they're the ones who refused to stay down. The ones who chose discipline over defeat, action over excuses, fire over fear. You see, life will try to break you. The odds will scream in your face. You're not supposed to make it. And most people believe it. They fold, they retreat. They join the crowd of quitters who live their lives stuck in stories that someone else wrote for them, but not you. You understand the secret. You know that the odds don't matter when the work becomes non-negotiable. When you show up so consistently, so relentlessly, that even the universe starts to bend. When you grind so hard in silence that eventually, life has no choice but to reward you. You don't wait for luck. You force the win through discipline, through obsession, through war. And the truth is, the odds only matter to the ones who don't believe in themselves. But once discipline becomes your identity, you don't need belief. You have evidence, you have results, you have scars. You've seen what happens when you push past what you thought was possible. The odds said you'd quit by now, but you didn't. The odds said you'd fail like the rest, but you didn't. The odds said you'd stay average, but look at you showing up, evolving, pushing, building. Every day you rise, you rewrite the outcome. Every hour of work, every rep, every sacrifice, it chips away at the limits they tried to place on you. That's the power of discipline. It silences statistics. The reason most people never win is because they stop at 40%. Navy SEALs call it the 40% rule, that when your mind says you're done, you've only tapped into 40% of your capacity. But the ones who win, they go beyond. Not because they're stronger, but because they've trained themselves to keep going when it hurts, to push when it burns, to show up when the world says, you can't. They know that success isn't random, it's earned, inch by inch, hour by hour, in the quiet war with self. And when you become the type of person who doesn't stop at 40%, the odds don't stand a chance. Because the truth is, the odds weren't designed to stop you, they were designed to shape you, to harden your discipline, to test your will. And if you rise in the face of those odds, if you meet resistance with repetition, and pain with power, you don't just beat the game, you change it. You inspire others, you break cycles, you become proof that it can be done. And that's the greatest victory of all, not just winning for yourself, but becoming the example that others follow when they start with nothing. So let them doubt. You let them bet against you. Let the odds stack, because every obstacle you face is another opportunity to prove them wrong. And when you combine discipline with work ethic, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that can hold you back. You don't need the stars to align. You align yourself through effort, through strategy, through relentless repetition. That's how you force the win. You don't wait for permission. You don't pray for a break. You become the break. You outlast, outlawn, outfight, and outwork every barrier standing in your way. And one day, when they ask how you did it, you'll smile and say, I didn't beat the odds, I became the reason they changed.